Hi, I'm Serena Reynolds from Conceptive.
And my name is Sarah Ferrer from sarahferrerco.com. And today we have a treat for you. We have Lisa Sands on the podcast today. Lisa is the owner of Shop 2 to 5 online boutique that offers apparel and merchandise infused with positive messages and affirmations. But let me tell you, it's more than that. We've chatted with Lisa before we do the official podcast recording. Her energy is dynamic. Her story is awesome, and she's just a real pleasure to be around. So, Lisa, welcome to the podcast, and thank you for being with us.
Thank you for having me. And it's so funny, even just hearing you talk like that, I get a little teary because it brings up a lot of emotion.
Well, you know what? We're big believers, and I think, before we, of course, dive into your story, which is why we're here, I think it's important to start with when, we do this and we enjoy this podcast to learn about all different types of women in charge and what they do. And there are those moments where we talk to people and we just feel their energy. One thing is to hear a story and the other is to feel the story, if that makes sense. And you embody that without trying. So I think that's why it's such a treat. It comes easy to you, but on the receiving end, it's like, oh, girl, lead us on this journey of like, how did you get here? Where does this great energy come from? Did this come from struggle? Were you born with it? Like, did you have an aha moment and say, hey, I'm going to become this great positive, infused with, all types of good message type of lady? Or was there a turning point in your journey? So take us back to the beginning of Lisa Sands in 2 to 5 design.
Oh, my husband would say it started in the womb. No, no, I will say I was born an optimist. I'm the oldest of two sisters. And along the way, I was always an optimist. And I remember having these moments thinking, gosh, life must be so boring because everyone's so similar. And
Mm.
as I got older, I realized we all weren't really similar. We all had different stories and different backgrounds. And we have the ability to look at things through different color lenses. And I had this natural ability to look at things through rose colored lenses. And I felt very lucky and very blessed. And things didn't come easy to me. They didn't come as difficult as some people have had it. So I just always want to preface there's always a story that's always more, I don't want to say significant, but more challenging.
It's your story.
It's my story, but it
It's your
challenged in
story.
different ways. So I always preface that because, I was not an abused child. I had a happy childhood, but I was a shy child. I was in a special class for shy kids. I really couldn't get out of my own way. But I walked around with a smile on my face to the point where they used to call me Gums in high school because I always was smiling and I always had this, I guess, look of joy on my face, even though inside I was kind of like dying of anxiety because I was so shy. So it was really interesting, interesting perspective looking back on it because people don't believe me when I say that. I was in special classes for shy kids. My mother used to try to do things to get me out of my shell. Um, so anyway, fast forward, I became a competitive baton twirler. And I used to travel all over America. I traveled to Russia and Denmark and all these really cool places. And then I decided to pay for my tuition by doing these Miss Massachusetts pageants and Miss America. And I was able to kind of fulfill this need to share and put myself out there more, which really filled like this hole in me. And it felt great and I loved it. And then I ended up going into sales opportunities and I did really well. And I think it was just because I authentically didn't care about the end goal, which was the money, which I was lucky enough to create a good monetary cushion for myself. But I really cared about my customers and I really cared about, what they thought and their perception of things, all not knowing it, but looking back, I really created a brand for myself. So it's really interesting reflecting back. So fast forward, I ended up working for monster.com. I got married to a great guy. I had three beautiful boys back to back to back, and life challenges kind of hit. Um, Between sickly parents, my kids who had their own set of issues, my husband's dad who wasn't doing well at the time, thank God he's doing well now. And I was having my own issues. I was going to have a hip replacement. I ended up having a hip replacement. I had a hard time walking. I was not finding my crowd of people where we were living, and I really felt alone. I had one of my kids had needed some extra assistance. I felt like I was in this quicksand, this bowl of quicksand, and I just couldn't get out, and I was stuck. And for the first time in my life, I felt truly depressed, and I didn't know how to get out of it. So one night I was sitting in my bed, and I'm looking over there because my bedroom's over there. I was sitting in my bed, and one of the many nights where I was not just crying, bawling, sitting on my bed. And I bought this gratitude journal, and every day it would have a note of gratitude. So I would sit there, read it on my bed, and literally just shut my eyes and just let the tears fall. And my husband looked at me, and he's like, "Oh my God." I mean, he's a cynic. He's a sarcastic cynic. He would say he's not a pessimist, but he's a realist. And he took my hands and he said, "You know what, Lisa? I don't want you to wake up when you're 70 years old and realize life passed you by." And all of a sudden, something just clicked in me and it made me realize, you know what, he's right. So I took a step back. This is back in 2011. I took a step back and I for lack of better words, I douched my life. And that's what I actually call it to this day when people ask me about it. I got rid of the negative karma in my life and people who really couldn't lift me up. They weren't the friends who were there through thick and thin. They were the friends who were there through, the fun times, but couldn't handle me having my moments. I did things for myself that made me feel good. I never put my kids second, but I made sure to prioritize something once a day that made me feel full, whether it was having coffee with a friend or I wasn't able to work. I had to be home with my kids for different reasons, but whether it was having coffee with a friend or going for a walk around the block or I would go see movies by myself. I know it sounds silly, but I actually enjoy being by myself. I enjoy that downtime. So again, we're fast forwarding another 12 years. So now I have two kids in college. And one is still in high school. He has 2 years left. My husband has reinvented himself into being a college teacher, where he was with a family business before, and we're all in a really good place. And I wanted to do something to rekindle that optimism in others that I had to fall so hard on the pavement and bring myself up to find. Because the more I spoke to women, the more I realized how they didn't they didn't have the ability or the tools to lift themselves up. And I'm not a therapist. I'm not an executive coach. I never want to claim to be one. I just like sharing my story because I'm a real human who has real feelings and I have real emotions and I've been there. So about a year and a half ago, I started designing army jackets with positive sayings on it and fun different features on it. And people really enjoyed them and loved them. And I'm like, you know what? I kind of am thinking maybe I should do some more with this. Um, and I ended up making this company that's called 2 to 5. 2, my husband and myself, to 5, my 5 boys, or my 3 boys and my David and myself. So I wanted it to have a reflection on what I've been a reflection on what I've been through, and also fuse the goodness that there is within people. Because funny enough, there are studies that show when you surround yourself with positive influences, positive sayings, bright colors, you actually feel better. It actually releases endorphins in your body, which, I mean, hell, yeah, it's, for the most part free if you surround yourself stuff like that. And B, if you wrap yourself up in it, imagine how much better you'll feel. I mean, it's like if the good had osmosis in the clothes that you wore, you would feel like $1,000,000. And that's truly what we were all meant to feel. And we all deserve to feel because we've all gone through it. We all have our stories. We've all gone through it. It's just a matter of your perspective. And I'd love to just give a small example if it's okay.
Yes. Yes,
So
of course.
I have this one sweater and it's this really heavy sweater. And on the back, it says stars can't shine without darkness. And I was wearing it the other day and my husband looked at the back. He goes, "Well, damn, that's depressing." I go, "What are you talking about?" I said, "That's not depressing." I said, "The stars are shining around the darkness. Like you look for the stars, you look for the bright." He goes, "Well, no, the darkness is so depressing." And I'm like, well, excuse me, mister, I'm looking at the glass half empty.
Exactly what I was
It,
thinking.
right? It just reminds me it's all your perspective. It's all your perspective. And that's something that I was telling Dave, and I think he's getting it, but that's how I choose to see things. And I really value people around me who see how I see things, and people who don't, I love to share and communicate that because I know and I've heard how my clothing and accessories make them feel because everything that I do has those positive vibes, good karma, positive sayings on it. And that brings me joy, which in turn I hope brings them joy.
So I'd like to take you back a little bit because something I noticed that you did when you mentioned your family and your boys is you added a little caveat. Oh, I didn't neglect him. I just put myself first occasionally. Why? Why do we all feel the need to have that little caveat in that situation?
That's an excellent question. So, there are times, listen, one of my sons needed a lot of different therapies for different things. And they're older now, so I don't like to disclose too much, but you get the point. It's, when you're a mom, they are your life. And you can lose yourself. And as you know, time gets away from you. So there are moments where you do lose yourself in those kids. And I think that's normal. But the important thing is bringing yourself back to you so you can then be a better parent and a better human to share with others and share with your family and see how you're moving forward. So, yeah, I had those moments, and I had those moments of, sulking, holding him in these time ins, trying to calm his body down, and which in turn didn't bring the next 4 hours of happiness to me or joy because I'm in turn sulking because he's sulking and I can't calm anyone down in the house. But then a day passes, I regroup, I get myself back into it, and I think it just shows that I'm human. And I think a lot of women, you have to be okay with that. You know what I mean? It's when I say the caveat, I don't mean long time caveat. It could be a day, it could be a half a day. Um, but it is a life suck sometimes. And that sounds awfully negative. I don't mean it like that. But there are times where you do the best for yourself so then you could put forth the best for your child, and then you kind of have to regroup and do it all over again.
I have a very good friend that reminds me on a very regular basis that who's going to look after your children if you don't look after yourself? And
It's very true.
and I think that's a statement that we all kind of have to be reminded of every now and then, that we have to look after ourselves so that we're the best for them.
We have to look up that after ourselves, and it's good to teach your children that you're looking after yourself. And I think a good example of that is years ago when we were kind of like in the crux of everything. I would find these podcasts, YouTube channels, Spotify, whatever it was, meditations for children. And we'd all get on my youngest son's floor and we would all meditate together. And by the way, I'm not an A+ meditator. I actually don't have a lot of patience for it, but I wanted to prove to myself that I could do it and teach my children how to do it because I felt like that was something positive that I could pass on to them. So there are moments where you can incorporate them into your daily piece. And that's another piece of the puzzle that really helped and moved me forward and hopefully move them forward.
You speak so much about. I'm really fascinated about your story. I just kind of want to put something at the forefront. You mentioned about your husband reinventing himself. You've talked a lot about your kids' journeys, which there is some personal reinvention that has to come. There's some emotional and all the stages of development, if you will. Who do we want to be? What tools do we have? But I keep thinking of reinvention. You go from this really shy girl, who's in these special shy classes to becoming a baton twirler. Those, yeah. We're gonna dive into that. Like,
I'm not twirling for you, just FYI. Don't ask.
Okay, I'm British. We don't have batons here, not really. But you're talking about marching bands, the young
So,
girl at the front? No? What are
well,
we
kind of,
thinking?
sorta. So, there was Notre Dame University, which is here in America. We used to go out for nationals every year, and it was a huge thing. So I would twirl 1, 2, 3 batons. I twirled knives,
Okay.
and then I was a goodwill
Knives.
ambassador for
Sorry,
sleeves.
knives.
Yeah,
Just checking that
knives.
I heard that right. Knives.
I
Okay.
mean, listen, they're like big butter knives. It's, but you attach them together, you twirl around. But what the part of the story that I personally love is it brought me to pay for uh, a portion of my college tuition, because then I was a finalist in Miss Massachusetts for a couple of years, and I met some amazing people. I actually had a moment where I thought I wanted to be a TV anchor. It opened up other opportunities for me. I met these wonderful women who we had to turn in transcripts, and I mean, it was all about a scholarship. When people say, well, it's a scholarship pageant, this one happened to be a scholarship pageant. So I really was blessed with the opportunity of meeting these amazing people, finding an internship with a TV station that I wanted to work with, learning how to public speak to the best of my ability, where I still have a lot of friends who couldn't even get in front of 10 people and speak. So,
Mhm. It seems like you really there's constant reinvention, and it's shy girl to baton twirler to news anchor to monster.com to mother to so where do you find because nowadays, we often think reinvention is just something Cher and Madonna do, right? It's like that's what they do, but reinvention can be scary because there is an element of starting from zero, beginning again. Can you just talk a little bit about your experience, what that has looked like reinventing yourself as a mother, right? Being a mother, but also taking care of yourself. As a partner, you have a husband. I always joke, the optimist usually marries the pessimist or the realist. Right? So,
Yes.
right? So, how do you reconcile these things, but also not just reconcile and acknowledge, but become better because of them, as opposed to saying, "This is too tough. This is too tough. I'm too tired. I can't do this again. I can't reinvent." Where do you get that energy from? That support? Is it internal? Is it external?
So it started internally, because I grew up in a pretty pessimistic household. And there's a lot of envy, and I never understood it envy, because there's always someone who has more than you and always someone who has less than you. So for me, it was a very internal. I love my parents, my family, but for me, I just felt like a black sheep, you know. But it really did come internally from me at first. I don't know if it's a chemical in the brain. I'm not. That's not my jam. But what I can tell you is, first, there was always something that sparked in me that I always wanted to be better, and I think I do know what it is. I am not a student. Okay, I, I the way my brain works, I was not. I was never gonna get a PhD. I have brains in my body. I'm a smart girl. I'm just not a book smart. I like to be on the streets talking to people. That's always where I have developed opportunities. It's never been in back of, reading a book or staring at a computer screen or getting an A+ on an exam. Not my jam. I was an accounting major who went into sales. So, I intuitively found my strength was me being social and reaching out, and I intuitively knew that I was not gonna sit my butt down on my floor in an apartment and not do anything to better myself. There's I guess there's another piece of the story I probably should tell you. So, when I was a senior in high school, I grew up in a small high school. I had a small class. We had 130 kids in our class, and my math teacher was from, England, and she went to a very prominent school, and I was getting the highest grade in her math class out of all the 130 kids. My English teacher was amazing, but I was failing, and I couldn't figure out what was going on. And it was frustrating for me because I would study when I tell you I was studying 7 hours a night, I would go home after band practice, eat my dinner, and go in my room and just study. And I was still failing math or failing English, and it was very frustrating. And I called a meeting as a senior in high school because I couldn't figure out why I wasn't doing better. And here I am thinking, like, everyone on the outside thinks I'm this overachiever and I am failing. So we called together, along with my math teacher, all of my teachers, and figured out what was going on. Well, then they didn't really know about learning challenges. And it turns out I have this learning challenge, and the way, which is very common, by the way. It's not like something to be embarrassed about. And I learned how to work around it. So I went to UMass Amherst, which is in Massachusetts, out of Boston here, and I did well, but I needed supports to change my way of thinking and my learning style. Um, and again, I do keep saying that I am not an anomaly. This is very normal for so many people, but I had to take that leap forward and do that myself to figure out what my next steps were. I refused to be the kid in the back of the class. I was always at the front. Everyone thought I was this great student. And to this day, I don't even know if I got into my major legitimately. I ended up becoming friends with the dean, and I would just go up and bring him coffee. And I ended up becoming president of the business club and bringing in 1,000 companies to UMass and having them interview other kids. And then in turn, they would take me out to eat. And, so it's really interesting. It's all in perception and all how you market yourself and finding your strengths. And I think at a young age, I found my strength because I refused to be the kid at the back of the classroom.
So what did you major in?
I was an accounting major who barely could add 2 plus 2. And I come from a family of CPAs. And the irony is my grandfather had the highest grade or the highest score in his CPA exam in the state of New York at the time. And my father was a great CPA. And assets plus liabilities. I mean, like, I don't get that far. I don't. But that's not my strength, and that's okay. That's okay. I have other strengths that really compensate for that strength. I mean, there's a place for everyone.
It'd be really boring if we were all the same. And where would we evolve to if we all knew the same stuff and we were all great at the same stuff?
Right. It's a snore fest. I mean, I'm telling you, I remember at a very young age thinking we're not all gingerbread people. I remember lying in my bed with my Michael J. Fox poster next to me, saying, like, in my head, we're not all gingerbread people. The world would be so incredibly boring. Why I thought that and knew that at a young age, I don't know. But there was always something inside of me that wanted to go further. I never wanted to be a face in the crowd.
And where does the owning my own business play into all this? Because all this is like, you're there, so you're bringing people into, you're the dean of, or you're buds with the dean. And so then you become the president of the business school. But like, where does I'm going to become a business owner spark your, or a light bulb goes off in your brain and you go, yeah, let me try that on.
Yeah. What you said about, becoming buds with the dean and business and all the rest of it. It's like what you kind of said it in a way that was I wouldn't say negative, but it was a little bit like, you weren't sure whether you got in on your own merit and stuff. Like, hell yeah, that is a really big merit and why you should have got in.
Yeah, and I think it's finding your strengths. I think my husband, I I say, he was top 20 in a class of 500 kids in his high school. Uh, so he's the brainiac of the group. I mean, he teaches project management at Babson College, which is an amazing college here. Um, that's not my jam. That's It's just not. And I was telling him the synergies that came together for me creating this business. He goes, you're talking about the Toyota way. I said, what are you talking about? He goes, you're talking about the ikigai. You take your passion, you take and he's excited. And I just did that, on my own merit because that's what and how I knew worked for me. And maybe that's from so much soul searching. I don't know. But if you have that in you, you have to have that drive in you to want to move forward. I can't tell you how many times I've and I'm sure you ladies are the same. You've given out advice to people, you've brought them to the water, and they won't drink it. So it's a matter of getting over that hump, knowing that you want to drink that water, and moving forward. So
That is so true. That's also very Babson. I went to Babson myself, and we love processes and systems. And it's very like, I'm chuckling inside because it's like, you take courses on like how to be a good leader. And then after you realize some of these very soft skills, like, feeling passionate, understanding that like a team is comprised of many people. It always used to make me laugh because don't get me wrong, there are certain things that are very important to understand, and how to run a great business and certain mentalities and mindsets and processes. But sometimes it's like, wait, we need a course on like so I appreciate how a lot of what you are innately it just exudes from you, or you've worked on it because there's just an inner desire, right? To be like, I don't want to be at the back of the class. So I know I need to be A, B, C, D, and E to be at the front of the class. Well, at Babson, there's a whole course on that, how to be at the front of the class. So it makes me kind of laugh where sometimes I think it's important, higher education, all that good stuff, great. But, there is such a thing as, your soul, your passion, who you are. The introvert will never be the extrovert fully.
Mhm.
And that's
Mhm.
okay. But instead of trying to mold ourselves into the Toyota way or the this way, it's like those are nice to pull from. But what I'm hearing from you is you kind of figured it out, where the gift of gab, the gift of likability, the gift of community, connection, all those things are taught in business school, but that's also kind of part of life. Would you agree with that?
1000%. And it's interesting you say that. David's gonna be thrilled we're talking about this. Um, he he runs these they're called FEL groups, and they're for family-owned businesses at Babson. And they really talk about issues they have in these family companies. And some of the issues are very deep and some are very, it's all it's all very private information. But the information that we're talking about, that we're innately good at and we recognize, a lot of these kids don't. Because a lot of them are very rote in their thinking and what they're doing, and the reality is business is not rote. Business is listening and not talking and not saying anything until you really feel like you've gotten the information. You can recite it back and then add your value.
I feel as though education is aimed at making worker bees as opposed to making entrepreneurs and owners. I think it's only as they get older and they choose business courses and stuff like that do they realize that you're allowed to actually have your own voice and stand up and be different or follow your own path. I don't think we're particularly encouraged at a younger age to do that. Or
I 1000% agree. And part of me feels like, college is wonderful. What did I get out of college? You know, do we want to talk about it? I mean, it's not very PG sometimes, but I learned how to be social in college. I mean, I learned how to listen, I learned how to learn, but I really learned how to be more gregarious and deal with different personalities. And you don't always know the type of roommate you're going to have and how you have to deal with their moodiness or their excessive drinking at 4 in the morning when you're trying to sleep, or, on a Tuesday, or, and I think, funny enough, that helps you deal with life and that helps you move forward depending on what industry you went in, because I went into sales. It helped me deal with sales because I knew how to deal with different types of personalities, and which in turn led me to start a business, really dealing with what I saw brought out the best in me that I would feel like would bring out the best in others that I wanted to share.
So let's talk about your business. Let's explain. You can explain to everyone exactly what it is that you do.
Uh, so 2 to 5 Designs is really about it's clothing, hats, apparel, bracelets, necklaces, nothing high. I have wonderful high-end jewelers if you ever need that, but they all have positive messages, positive sayings. They're all bright colors. A lot of the sayings are actually on the inside of your arm, so you don't other people might not see them, but they're there for yourself. because the reality is sometimes you have to lift yourself up, and that's okay. It's okay to be human. So all that goodness is there to make you feel good, and there to make you feel like when you're walking down the street, you know what? I am fearlessly authentic. I am who I am, and I deserve to feel who I am, and as good as I am in my skin, and that's okay. It's not being obnoxious. It's not being self-centered. It's just self-care and loving myself. And that's really the premise of the company. It's about building a brand that makes you feel good. And the feedback that I've gotten from customers from it's just we're just in North America. The feedback has been amazing. And I feel so lucky to have gotten this far with not a huge amount of advertising or anything like that. Feels just so good, and it shows that we need that more in this world.
How do you, because I'm on the site now and there's adorable, I mean, really uplifting, love always wins, soulful and just really like there's also, I love the toiletry bag that says bag of shit. Like so
Yeah.
funny. It makes you laugh. Like it doesn't take itself too serious. It's kind of the vibe I get. You live in the moment, have fun. But the reality is like there's a lot of work to be done. Sourcing products, curating products, figuring out what works, what doesn't work, creating a website, because perhaps maybe you've expanded, and I'm curious if you've expanded maybe into retailers. So tell me about how the positive energy, the vibe, I feel it completely because it is you. But how has it been putting on the businesswoman hats of all of the more, let's say, technical roles of running the business, i.e., the operations, the sourcing? Do you do this solo? Do you have a business partner? Where do you keep the merchandise? There's so many options on the site. That do you have a warehouse? So walk me through kind of all those not so not so pretty details, but necessary details.
Well, I started as a shopaholic. And that's one of the reasons why I decided to start this company too, is because I couldn't find what I wanted on the market for myself. So instead of spending money on another random purse, I was like, you know what, I'm just going to manufacture something I love. So yeah, the manufacturing was a process. You start asking questions. It brings me back to my sales days. You literally grab any human you know and ask them questions. I like that. Let me look at randomly your label and see what that material is. Or, everything is soft and snuggly. I want to make sure. I would walk into different stores and I would take pictures of labels. So, in terms of sourcing, it was I'm very lucky to live around people who have been helpful to me to source things. Right now it's all overseas. My goal is to bring it domestic. Um, Unfortunately, now it's really expensive for a small business owner to bring things domestic. Hopefully, that will change one day. Um, so that part, I didn't mind. The designing, I love. It's so much fun. It was a new world for me. I taught myself everything. The money is awful. Meaning like I hate balance. I mean, we talked about me being an accounting major. Are you kidding? And there's my husband who's the project manager, like, okay, let's pretend you're on Shark Tank. Let's see. Talk about your expenses and your revenue. And so he's really the one who keeps me in check. And then I go over numbers with him, and not only does he keep me in check, he has to keep me in check. Let's be honest. Okay. Because I could go out and just buy everything and design everything and be happy as a clam to have it. My warehouse is currently my basement, thanks to my 2/3 of my kids being out of the house. I told David I would be happy to move it out. It's an expense we're not willing to put out right now. Um, the ideas that I come up with they're all words that I have found that uplift me, that other people have related to. And there might be something in the news like, oh, we need to love more, or oh, I wish that kindness was more prevalent right now. Or there I have moments like I just have to remember to protect my energy and I'll put that on a bag, or, something silly, but funny enough, they resonate with so many people. It's the simple things that resonate with people. So, in terms of brand awareness, I decided a long time ago I wanted to create a brand versus a product because I want people to feel good about the brand. I want them to feel good when they put something on and say, wow, this was designed by a woman that really understood what I was going through. And this made me feel better. And that really is the end goal, is to create that brand that other people will feel good in and on when they wear something.
It's so cute. Like I'm looking at again, as I'm listening to you, I'm looking at the bracelets. You know, there's the protect your peace bracelet, but then there's also
Yeah.
the manifest that shit bracelet. Like I just
Yeah.
love the position of like yogi, but yogi badass is kind of the vibe I get, you know, living in those spaces, which I think ultimately represents you, right? Like why put
Yeah.
yourself in a box? You can be
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because I'm wearing 2 of our necklaces. One says, inhale, exhale, because funny enough, I forget to breathe. It's hard to see, but, um, and it's always a joke when I work out. Our teacher is like, "Lisa, you're not breathing." I'm like, "Oh, yeah, you're right." I mean, and when you inhale and exhale, when you box breathe, it's physically impossible to have anxiety. And I once had someone told me that. It's true. So remember to inhale and exhale. The other one says fear less, and less is in italics, because it's okay to fear. It's okay to feel emotion. I don't want anyone to discount feeling an emotion, but you can fear less. You can put yourself in a position where you can fear less and educate yourself, or bring yourself to a level where something might not be as scary. It might not be as scary to speak in front of whatever, 50 people, or put yourself on a podcast. You can fear that, but you're going to learn how to fear it less. And that's okay. Don't discount your feelings.
Right, I'm putting that down as our quote.
Snap. Can we do a double snap
I
for that?
love it. I
Double snap
love
for
it.
that.
You love that.
Like lean into it. See, what I like about this, what I like about the messaging too is like, you know, there's always so much the love and positivity, always a great thing. But sometimes, you know, at least for myself, it's like, but can someone talk about what's really happening? I mean, I want to be positive, but I also want to live in the real world, if that makes sense, as opposed to just everything's love, light, and happiness, and I'm dancing around in an open field with my flower crown on. I mean, that's nice, but that ain't this life.
Yeah.
You know, like I'm scurrying from one appointment to the other. The coffee spilt over me. Like, but I still want to manifest in the 3 minutes I have on the train. Like that's what I'm exuding from this brand too, is like it can be for everyone. You know, it's not just for a specific type of person. It's for the real human who's experiencing a very normal, natural human experience.
Right. And that's interesting you say that too, because I always had issues with people. I I don't know if you get this goes back years ago. So there's a movie Moonstruck. Do you know the Moonstruck? Have you heard of that with Cher and
Yes.
Nicolas Cage? Okay, so
Yes.
there's a scene where Nicolas Cage goes, "I love you," and Cher goes, she smacks him. She goes, "Snap out of it," and it always makes me laugh. And I feel like this is where I'm totally showing my age now, but um,
She won
I-
an Oscar for that, didn't she? Or an Academy Award? Like, didn't she?
yes,
Yeah. She wore the crazy
yes,
dress and the beautiful dress. Yes, I remember.
yes. She was like
Yes.
half naked in the Bob Mackie.
Yes,
So
1992.
Um, right? So I always think of that line, but when someone says snap out of it and you're like in a bad place, you know what? I've always said this to my kids. They're blips. You can lean into that blip. Just know there's another side of that. You have to remember you know, I've had moments. I've had moments where I just want to sit and cry and listen to a sad song, or get it out of my system, or cry. This year was a tough year. It was. eh, you can go in the shower and cry. You can go to a friend and cry. It doesn't matter. You can go sit in the mall and cry. Just get it out of your system. Have your blip. Know
Mm.
you're human. Embrace that you're human, but know that you can move on. It's okay. It's okay to be where you are. Just know that there's another side of that. And that's the important thing. It's when you can't find that other side, the other side of your blip.
Have your blip. Put that on a bracelet, girl. Have your blip.
My girlfriend's funny. She's like, "Lisa, you need a section of your site that's X, like censored, and then just put like all the not appropriate stuff back there, like the hats and you know,
Have you got inappropriate hats? I want some.
Yeah, Serena's now ears are perked up. Serena's like, yes. We keep getting all these
Have to
orders from
me.
London.
I'm looking at this thinking I need my daughter to she'd love some of this stuff.
There's a great all of our hats are ponytail hats, and there's one that has a patch that says maybe swearing will help. Because it's true.
I love a big F word.
Well, I told you my favorite word is the F-bomb, so it's okay. It's okay. So, going back to those blips, have the blip, give a good cry, just know that you will move on. Know it's a moment.
It's a
Yeah.
moment. It's not it could be a fight. Like, I love that because I think sometimes people myself, let me speak from my own experience. When you're in
Mm.
that mindset, even though the logical brain says this is just a blip, right?
Mhm.
Whatever it may be, the imposter syndrome blip, the anxiety blip, the running a business, can I make the numbers work blip. I'm not a numbers person, but it's how can the logical brain, always kind of win when the emotional brain goes, maybe this isn't a blip. Maybe this is who I am.
It's interesting too because I remember when I first had my first baby, and I was having a hard time because here I am going from these crazy work hours to having kids, and my life just did a 180, and I was home all the time, and I'm sitting, and I'm never dressed. And I was a woman who was wearing suits every day and heels, and I loved feeling good in my skin, and I didn't, you know, um, so it was really tough. I remember telling my husband, "This is like." So hard for me. Like, this is because here I am, an educated woman who, got through college and was working, and I was making a really good living, and now I'm home.
Mhm.
And that was I it you have to get on with it. You have to move on because we do take those blips and make them mountains versus the little tiny molehills that they should be.
But
You can
that's
get
actually a topic that most of us women kind of skate around.
Yeah.
That whole, I've become a mum, I should be so happy, and yet I'm really kind of not. I don't really.
Yeah.
I get that. I see where you're coming from there, and it was, you know, my mum friends were all like, "Oh, you've got a baby, it's so wonderful. Oh, yes," and you're just thinking, really know what I'm doing with this. I don't know really how I'm
Yeah.
supposed to feel. My life has actually turned upside down here.
Yeah, and I will say I need 8 hours of sleep. I am absolutely miserable when I don't have that. I had 3 C-sections. I'm very bad when I need to take pain meds or I'm not 100% myself or at the weight I need to be or I'm short, I'm 5'2". Like, when I need to be running around doing things, and when my kids had to be home and napping, oh my god, I was, like, bored out of my mind, and it's really hard. Now, in the interim, they mean the world to me, and my life, you know, I can't imagine my world without them being in it. They are my everything. My husband is my everything, and I'm so lucky to feel like that. Um, but it was hard. You lose yourself. You work so hard to get an opportunity to make your own money, make your own mark, and then you think, "Am I really making a mark by having children?" No, you are. You're making a difference in these kids' lives. But did I make them homemade squash? No.
Do things like that, become a super mum for a day, and I'd home cook, and it was literally a blip.
Yeah, well, my husband knows when he married. Yeah. Um, I would feed them Cheerios sometimes for dinner. Other moms are making these roasts, and listen, guys, I'm an awful cook. The air fryer makes me look fabulous, but otherwise, I'm an awful cook. I don't enjoy it. My kids know. My son just joked, "Everyone's excited to go home for a home cooked meal. I'm excited to go home and order out." I'm like, "Me too, son. Me too." I mean, it's you just have to know what you are and embrace it, and that's okay. Your kids are gonna love you just the same way. I would drop everything for them, and in the interim, by the way, they would drop everything for me because they know what kind of parent I am. So I have a huge show tomorrow. We actually have to go unbox everything tonight. It's a huge, huge show. I normally don't do shows. I do everything over e-commerce. And I texted my 2 kids who are home, and I said, "Listen, I'll pay you if you help me." And my oldest just wrote back, "Hey, you don't have to pay us. You're your kid, or we're your kids." And then my youngest wrote, "I'll take his money."
Lisa, you are just so many truths in one body, and it's such like a delight to and I can relate to this. I know Serena, I'm not a mother. Serena's and her experience as a mother. It's so refreshing to hear like both sides of the coin. I can love my kids a lot, but at the same time, hey, I'm used to like working that 9 to 8. I'm used to like bringing home the bacon. Now I'm watching them as they sleep. Like I think that that's so honest. I can be really quiet in one arena, yet I can also have the gift of gab. So like all these things in one, I think are proof to the listeners, are not even proof. It's reaffirming that you don't have to stay. The only thing that keeps you in the box is yourself. If you feel like you can't be many people, whether it's within a day, a week, or a lifetime. What I'm hearing is you control your destiny and you realize that at a very early age. I get to be at the front of the class. How do I get there? Would you say that that's kind of accurate, that feeling?
1000%. Yeah, 1000%. I just found out some of my goodies are going to be featured on Good Morning America, Connecticut, which I'm so excited about, in their
Yeah.
holiday guide. And I sent the message out to my kids, and within a nanosecond, they were texting me back, "We're so proud of you. We're so, but could I have done that 12 years ago? No.
No.
Because I had other things that I was trying to attain or whether it was with my kids or my husband or, it was everything in due time.
Mhm.
Everything happened. You just have to keep going and knowing where you are and knowing what you can handle. And it's okay, maybe not pushing yourself over the edge, through the water every day. Just keep going. Just keep going. That's all. It might be a little left, it might be a little right. Sometimes it's straight. That's great. Just keep going.
Mhm. Keep swimming, as my mom used to say. Just keep
Yeah.
swimming.
Just keep
You
swimming.
know?
I know that's from
Mom
Dory,
Dory.
right?
Yeah, well,
Yes.
I don't yeah, I'm not sure yes, it's from the movie. My mom, that was not from the movie, that was real life experience Barbara Ferrer was giving me. She was like, "Just keep swimming, kid. Just keep swimming." I'm like, "Is
I
this
love it.
I don't even know what this means, but okay, I'll do it," just keep going, and I think a lot of that too, it sounds like in your journey, gratitude, being in the moment, being present has that also facilitated the understanding of, like, what's for me will not miss me, or, hey, like, time for everything? Do you feel like gratitude in that journey has helped, or have you always kind of felt like, "Hey, whatever happens to me, it'll happen in due time?"
I have to ask you a question though, Sarah, because
Yeah.
it's bothered me. So when your mother said just keep growing, did you feel
Swimming.
inside like you could or you couldn't?
Well, just keep swimming, she said, and
I was just
and and when she said that, she said it really those affirmations were usually said to me, those positive, encouraging moments usually said when I felt like I was drowning.
Mm.
So you don't actually know, what I have since grown a lot, right? In really being in the moment and being present and gratitude and appreciating the journey, and all that good stuff. But I think what happens is we can hear these things, just keep swimming, just keep going, what's meant for you will not miss you. It sounds so great when you're in a moment, you're well rested, you're well fed, your P&L doesn't look like shit. You're like, okay, this is good. But then, come the holidays and things, and you're out of stock of 10 things, and your employee's sick, and you don't feel great, and someone goes, just keep swimming. You go, how?
I actually have that go in my head on the days that I'm struggling. It's come on, just keep swimming, just keep swimming. And yeah, and tomorrow's a better day. Another day, it's a different day. And so I actually say that to myself.
The just keep swimming start, I totally can relate absolutely to. When I have my moments of self-doubt, I think to myself, who's saying I can't?
Mm.
Who's saying so funny enough, I work out with this group of badass women. We all lift heavy weights and throw them down on the ground. It's the best feeling ever. And yesterday I had a moment. So I have a fake hip. I have a hip replacement. Um, and I don't take any moment of lifting or moving for granted. I mean, truly, I'll wake up, get out of bed, and realize, oh my gosh, I didn't have pain last night. And I'm so grateful for that because chronic pain is awful because I had chronic pain for 2 years. Forgot to mention that. So 2014, I had a hip replacement at 41. And so I remember, well, just yesterday, I was trying to lift something and I've done it before. And then I thought to myself, who's saying I can't do this? Of course I can do this. So it was me. I brought it back to me because I'm responsible for me. You're not responsible for if I can lift that. I'm responsible for that. So it's selfishly, whatever, bringing it in, it's about me. It's about what I can do. It's not about what you can tell me to do. It's about what I can do and what I can achieve. And
Mm.
I have to remember that I can do that. And it's not being, and I know, Serena, I see your twinkle, it's selfishly, it's it's about you innately believing that you can move forward and you can do something. It's not my coach saying to me, you can do this. It's me saying I can do it. And I think that's a piece that a lot of women forget. It's you saying that you can do it.
Mm-hmm.
Ugh. And that's something I want every woman to feel.
Mm.
And men, I mean, you can do it.
Leave the men out of this.
I always feel badly because
I'm kidding. I'm kidding. I'm
you're
kidding.
so funny. I have to tell you a funny story. So I have these 2 bomber jackets, and I have, like, this bright blue one, and a man bought 3 of them. I don't know who he bought them for, but he bought 3 of them, and he's in LA, and I was like, "This is so cool that I'm selling to men. I love it." And I have another shirt that's coming out that says "Love Wins." It's pink, and it has dice on the back. It's really cool. And I had a photographer I worked with, and he came over. He goes, "I want that shirt when it comes out." And I'm like, "Okay." Like, it's just so funny. So now I feel like, "Oh, am I being, like, exclusive?" Like, and then I feel like, "Wait, am I gonna be canceled?" Like, I don't cancel me. But yeah, no, I'm all about, like, the pro woman. I want us to believe in ourselves. I don't wanna have to tell someone all the time to be able to do something. I want me to know that I can do it.
Mm, mhm. And I think, the important thing is hearing your story, hearing you say that in that then imparts in women who go, yeah, like we can all have supportive communities, right? Serena's my support system. Every Friday we chat and I feel uplifted. My mother's my support system, my husband, but it means nothing if you don't believe it. Right? So hearing you
1000%.
say it, it's like, I think what it helps to do is affirm in other women, like, that message of, like, "You're worthy, you're worth it, you got it," and just who's saying you can't. I love that. It's so simple. Who said you can't? Well, but no, who said it? Turns out nobody. The old brain said it. Okay?
We're
That's
always our worst critics.
we are. It's like, why? Why? I mean, women can give birth. The idea that, like, I always take a step back and go, wait, women are literally propelling humanity forward. Is there any like more responsibility on this world in this world? Even if you choose not to have kids, I think it's the idea that like, the role that women play is just it's more than just, oh, take care of the kids. It's like, wait, this is like you're raising the expectation in many households is like, hey, like the woman's gonna raise the child. Even if she's working, she's still going to play that quote unquote motherly role. But it's like you take a step back, go, holy shit. Like this is bigger than a job. This is bigger than a role. This is literally, I think, what humanity is based off of. And as women, we have that, I don't want to say burden, but we forget sometimes how powerful that role is or can be, right?
So powerful. It's
Mm.
so powerful. I think back and, everything always goes back to our childhood. I think back and again, it was, I had lovely parents who were supportive, but they never pushed me. I had to find that innate ability to push myself and be my biggest cheerleader, and it was fine. I mean, I did, and I will, but because of that, I know who I wanna be, or I know who I am, and I
Work.
know who I continue to want to be and become.
Oh,
And I keep going back to it. That's what my goal is, to make everyone feel like, because there's no reason you can't.
I want to be Lisa Sands. Put it on a jacket. I'm
Oh,
gonna walk around Madrid and be like, "It's Lisa Sands energy." Ooh, can we trademark that? The Lisa Sands energy method? Like, how do we listen, I mean, we're all about stories, but we're also about business here. It's like, how can we how can we I could
I
see
love it.
Serena's brain like, "Yes, this is good. This is good."
I love it.
I know that we're kind of, winding down now and coming to the end. We typically have a fun little surprise at the end of every podcast interview where we like to ask you a question from the previous interviewee. And so we are going to, Serena, do you have that in front of you? The question from our last
I
interview?
do.
Do you? Okay. Do you want to fire away?
I can. If you could go back into time and change one thing personally or professionally, what would it be?
My wardrobe. No, personally or
We'll
professionally?
accept it.
Personally or professionally?
Yeah, take a moment, think it through.
Yeah, that's a hard one.
But remember, it's
Gosh.
you can make it
I have to tell you, this is so cliche. I can't and I wouldn't change anything because if you haven't gone through your past, personally and professionally, if you haven't gone through what you went through, how does it define where you are? How does it bring you to this place where you are to learn what you've done in the past to then propel you forward? I don't think I would.
makes
I would
perfect.
truly change the hairdos, but otherwise than that, I'm good. I had very big hair in
think-
the 80s. Yeah.
I think that's a great answer. I had a perm. That was bad.
Oh yeah, perms were all the rage, right? It was like the
Was
perm.
so bad.
Yeah, you'd smell like the chemicals for for 3 weeks after, and you're like, "This is
and
normal."
you put mousse in to
Yeah.
have crispy hair.
I'm so glad that we're universally connected on the crispy hair.
Oh, absolutely. And Aquanet. Do you remember
bad.
Aquanet? I'm sure
yes.
there's a hole in the ozone layer
Yeah.
right above my head.
I love the playfulness of fashion and hair and all that because that is hashtag facts. But also, I find it very refreshing. Like nothing, like you said, like you are your experiences.
Right. It's I mean, I really that's why it took me a minute because I'm like, wow, do I really have to come up with something? I really wouldn't. I wouldn't. I really like me.
Love that.
And I like what I went through. And if I changed something, I wouldn't have a story for you, right?
I really like me. There's so many sound bites here that right, Serena, every single time I'm like, okay, thank God we have this. This is recorded because there's so much when I listen back to it. There's so many little freaking gems you bring us, Miss Lisa Sands.
Oh,
Like,
shucks.
I really like me. And especially in a world where I think, as women sometimes it's, the beauty industry, the hair industry, anything, where it's like, do this, make those lips bigger, make this hair more sleek. It's kind of nice but I kind of like me. Doesn't mean I don't want to add the accoutrements on, but I like me. Yeah,
And
I like me.
is that something that you've learned as you've got older, or is that something that you would just?
It was a process. I'd be lying if I said I always liked me because I definitely didn't. But 2011 really was pivotal for me and made me realize what I need in my life and what I don't need in my life. And once I got rid of that, I douched my life. I really began to like me better because I realized what I wanted to be around, what I wanted to represent as myself, what I wanted people to think of. And do I care what everyone thinks? No. But, there is an aura that you give off. And, I wanted that aura to be one of love and caring and kindness and, you know, bringing that positive energy. And I wasn't having that in 2011. So here we are in 2024, and I can finally say, I like me.
You are bringing that energy. I'm feeling it. I'm thousands of miles. I don't know how far I am actually. I'm miles away and I can feel it. It's coming through the screen at me. I'm very energized and positive from this.
You deserve it. And that's the thing is we deserve it. We're on this earth once, guys. Just make the best of it.
So let's ask what would your question be then for the next interviewee? Because you answered so lovely, so authentically your question. What do you want to ask the next person that ends up in the Fearless and Flawed hot seat?
Oh boy. Let me think.
Sure, take your time. Take your time.
Dang.
We'll make sure to write it down because we have a history of nodding our heads and then forgetting exactly what was
You
asked.
guys are so funny.
Lord.
That's my
What,
girl, Sarah.
what would I always like this question. What would you tell your younger self that would propel you forward now?
You tell your younger self that would propel you forward now. Perfect. Love that. Love that. Love that. I also like, we always, I'm waiting for the day. This is a great question. FYI, great question. You can really get deep into it, but I'm waiting for the day where someone just like asks a question like, do you like pink or purple? Like I'm waiting for the day where someone just like makes
What you
it.
eat for breakfast?
Yeah, yeah, right, 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 right. Like, are you a waffle person or a pancake person? You know,
I'm still sticking with my gin or vodka.
gin or vodka. Right, right. I actually think those simple questions. Jim, yes. Yes. Serena has converted me to gin. I'm glad that Lisa is a gin lover as well. Let me tell you, before meeting Serena, I thought there was only one type of gin, no flavor. Serena was like, "Oh, sweetie, sweet tea. Okay, you haven't tried lavender gin. Gin, you haven't tried grapefruit, pink grapefruit. You have my eyes have been, Serena, I've said this before, I'll say it again. Thank you. Because life with flavored gin is like 2.0 of living.
Amazing.
Right?
There
But
I was going
yeah.
through the airport in Boston, and I've got the big scary guy standing there going, "Have you got any alcohol on you?" I'm going, "Yeah. I've got a case full of gin."
Yep, you brought it on over. I remember
I
we met.
brought it over. I was
Okay, that is amazing. That's amazing.
She's great. We met for lunch. She starts pulling out bottles of gin from her backpack.
it's
She was like, "Here, this is for you." A huge I was like,
Well, next time you guys come to Boston,
"Yes."
we'll meet for some gin.
I'll
Oh,
bring gin.
I love it.
before we wrap up, I have to know now that because now curious minds, what would be your gin drink of choice, Lisa?
Oh gosh. Well, lately I've been into have you heard of Empress?
No.
So Empress is this purple gin. It's just really pretty. Um,
Love a
it's
pretty gin.
I love Empress in a short rocks glass with a king cube, a splash of seltzer, and, usually any kind of, garnish they choose to put in it, just leave it up to them. It's
Ooh.
really good. I
Oh,
you can put a sprig of rosemary in it, and it's delicious.
That's a
Lisa,
very grown-up thing to
you
do.
are the gift that just keeps giving.
I'll just keep on going, guys.
This has been such a treat and a delight. Serena, was there anything before we go that we've missed in her incredible story that
Yes.
what?
Yes.
What?
Lisa, what's your website? How do people
I
get hold of you? We didn't really talk about your products much at all. Well, we've kind of talked
No, it's
around
okay.
what was on your products,
yes.
but yes, let's share with the world who you are, where to find you, and what it is that you do.
Sure. So, everything, well, my website is www.shop to the number 2 to5.com or shop 2 to 5.com.
Two to
That will
five.
be on our Fearless and Flawed website under Lisa Sand, so you can find her there.
And then my Instagram is at shop 2 to 5 designs, I believe. Why am I having a moment, guys?
Because you're human, because you're
Yeah.
oh, wait, hey, just FYI, it's shop 2 to okay, I love this because this is a real human moment. Shop 2
Oh,
to
shop 2 to 5
designs.
designs.com.
.com. Girl, I love you for forgetting your website because that is such a human moment. Like, do you know
Oh
how
my
many
God. Shop 2 to 5 designs. Can we just preface by saying it's morning here, by the way, and it's evening for you guys? It's yeah. So shop 2 to 5designs.com and shop 2 to 5 designs is wait, now guys, you guys are crazy. I can't believe I'm having a moment. Shop 2 to 5 designs is my Instagram, and that's I post everything on my Instagram. I actually post about coming on today, so
Here's the thing, when you're so engulfed in something, when you love something, and Serena and I both get this. We have had moments that we're so deeply invested in a project for months or years that then when someone asks us about it, like we forget like the basic premise and people go, wait, 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 wait. How do you, it's like that white space of like, I've just zoned out because I'm so knee deep in it. It is so me that like, I don't even know what I do anymore. Like, do you know how many times people are like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "I don't know."
but you know what's so funny? 'Cause I actually have I changed so I this is TMI, but I changed all shop 2 to 5 designs, shop 2 to 5, like, I kept changing it because I really wanted the company name to be 2 to 5 because my family is such an important part in my world. And then I was like, well, designs, and then 2 to 5 was already taken on the website. No, then I had to add designs, but I'm having a moment. Yeah. So, it's just, what can I say?
I still like me. It's all good.
Fearless and flawed. And the flawed is not a negative thing. It's authentic,
No.
real, which connects people. So thank you. But for any of those who are still confused, it's shop2to5designs.com. It'll be on our website. Follow her on Instagram. And if nothing else, like just follow her to feel good. I mean, I think the products and all that are the extra layer, the icing on the cake, if you will. But I think just hearing your story and like, am I wrong in saying that you have sometimes on Instagram? Because I follow you every now and then. You'll have like little like weekly or daily like moments of like inspo.
Live shopping. I was on there the other day.
Yes.
Daily sprinkle. So I try to do a daily sprinkle, something that makes you feel good. It could be as basic as, wipe your feet before you walk in the house, or it could be something a little deeper about imposter syndrome or just being yourself or having the blip in life or, my daily sprinkle was try something out of your comfort zone, which is this. And I've done podcasts before, but, I haven't done one in a while since really the business has been established. And it's just, you have to step out of your comfort zone. You have to step out of your box to keep going. So my sprinkle is you guys today.
Girl, we'll be the
Aw.
sprinkle. I call
I've never been a
chocolate.
sprinkle before.
Put it on a jacket. I am a sprinkle. And see what the reaction is.
I
I
love
don't know.
it.
Might be controversial. People might be like, what's going on here? Sarah's losing her mind. She identifies as
I
a
love
sprinkle.
it.
Lisa, this has been
Identifies anything you want.
I sure can. And right now I'm identifying as a Lisa Sands fan.
You're so sweet. Well, I'm a fan of you guys, and I so appreciate the opportunity.
Thank you. Yes, and we'll be sure, like I said, to post everything on our website. We are excited to see where Shop 2 to 5 Designs goes. And Serena and I have been talking that, in the future, we would love to touch base, in the future to see, hey, how are things going? How have things evolved? So hold tight, listeners, for whenever that comes out. But first, just telling your story, I think, is a great gift and good for the podcast. So thank you.
Thank you, guys.